and REPA jointly present Prof.Iyer's talk show, Future of Energy, India Vision 2022, India's first talk show on energy and power. Co-partners NTU On-Site Energy and BSG, Associate Partner BHEL, supported by Jindal Power Limited and Patel Engineering Limited. Segment Partner Green Brilliance Energy, a Falcon Media production.
Welcome to the show, Future of Energy, India Vision 2022, and we bring to you, the viewers, the last but a very power-packed session, and this is on demand-side management and smart grid. With me today is Shri Anil Razdan, former Secretary Power, Government of India on my left. On my right, Dr. Hridesh Khanna, who is the Director, Business Development Strategy for MTO On-Site Energy, Germany. On his right is Shri Surendra Nagila, one of the best experts and minds in the country on smart grid issues and demand-side management. He is the Managing Director of Sugan Automatics. On my left, after Mr. Razdan, is Mr. S.C. Sharma, who is the President in Jindal Power Limited. On my extreme left is our very good friend and colleague, Mr. Hetal Mehta, who is the Joint President of Renewable Energy Promotion Association. Welcome all for this last but not the least of the sessions to enlighten. May I first ask, is India really ready for a smart grid? You know, here people want electricity first. So are we really in a shape to really appreciate the movement towards a technology aspect like smart? Razdan sir?
Well, I'd say, you see, that all grids pretend to be smart. It's only a question of trying to get smarter in the times to come. Because even the present development, particularly through our Power Grid Corporation, it's one of the best managed national grids in the country. In terms of the total megawattage of power it handles across the regions, 24,000 megawatts going up to 28,000 megawatts in a few years, which can be transferred from one portion of the country to the other. Integration of, gradual integration I should say, of 5 regional grids into 2 grids at the moment, but now hopefully very soon into a whole national grid which is common. Already moving. And the compulsions of the situation that when we want to do demand side management, when we want to have diverse sources of generation into the system, particularly the new renewables, we will need grids that are smarter. The power sector, as I view today, is not comprised of 3 elements any longer. It comprised of 4 elements: the generation, transmission, distribution, and consumer. All 4, if they have to interact, I think the grid, particularly at the end of the consumer, has to get smarter. He's got to be able to use it like he uses his PC in an elementary way. He's got to be able to trade his power requirements maybe on the grid when he needs how much, when the grid tariffs become more mobile and not fixed and ossified regardless of time of day and the constraints on the system. The whole system has to, I would say, not only smart, it has to react in an intelligent way, and you have to have a grid which is a two-way talk. So when we talk of demand side management, which is the subject of your discussion today, I think demand side management only makes sense, number one, if you make a grid interactive, the consumer can participate. Number 2, if power is priced appropriately and properly, so that then there is the imperative of going in for demand side management.
Right. Khanna sir, do you see that in a country where we are now in a situation where 40% transmission and distribution losses is talked about, so seriously technology can play a role, because we tried to see the other alternative, that is the physical security, and all of that has failed. So can't monitoring, measurement and a kind of smart grid approach of technology bring substantially those losses down?
Professor, you're absolutely right. Communication is one of the major issues among the establishing of smart grids. And here also renewables will play a very strong role because they can cover up the gaps between the energy supply and demand and balance certain erratic behaviors which are currently taking place. And one of the major issues is you have to have efficient energy supply, efficient power supply, generation, distribution, and these are all elements of the smart grid which you have to integrate. And as Mr. Azad said, it has to be interactive. And for that you need very fast and good communication system.
Okay. I now take this question forward to Mr. Surendran Aguila. See, we have the National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency on one side. They form the part of the National Action Plan for Climate Change, where solar is one mission and this is another excellent mission. And incidentally, that does not talk about energy efficiency as a subject on the distribution side. So do you see there is a case here to bring that, to incentivize so that a smart grid approach can not only benefit from the APDRP model, but also the energy efficiency related investments?
I think originally this National Energy Efficiency has been formed. I think totally there was 8 focus areas. Out of that, one was this particular area where energy efficiency was the main issue. There I think they also touched about the distribution transformer, the appliances, and also who saved and who will be paying the credit points, and it can be tradable. A lot of things have been discussed in that. But end of the day today, what we are trying to say is that we are in a peculiar situation. One side we are talking about 5-star rating of a refrigerator, the air conditioner at the consumer place, but we don't rate the distribution transformer to that level. And we need to really bring in a strict norm for the DISCOM also to put in that type of distribution transformer where you have the quality of power and also the low core losses. And third important thing is, that is the thing, is a cash box for any DISCOM. Whatever you generate, let it be renewable, let it be hydel, whatever you generate, end of the day, the distribution transformer gives you the money. So, thanks to the technology today, the smart grid has come in the right time.
So on that note, we'll just come back to you in a short time. Welcome you back after the short break, and we are continuing our discussions on demand side management and smart grid. Sarmaji, do you feel this is the way the technology has to move? क्या हमें इसको कम करना है? मतलब अगर हमें रियली 10% से 15% में पहले लाना है T&D लॉस को, जो कि प्लानिंग कमीशन की पहले मंशा थी कि भाई हम 11वें प्लान तक इसको 15% के नीचे ले आएंगे, लेकिन नहीं ला पाए, तो क्या टेक्नोलॉजी और ये इंसेंटिवाइजेशन ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी ये मुद्दा बन सकता है हमारे लिए?
Yes, I definitely feel, you see, in any losses, if it is to be reduced, technology is one of the things, and particularly in today's technological innovations which is going on, particularly to make the grid more smarter, to reduce the various losses, particularly on the demand side, but metering, very efficient metering system has to be there. From that, the old type of systems must get changed to the innovative technological system, so that the losses, and ultimately, because now we are going towards the privatization, everywhere the distribution companies are all privatized, because the electricity boards were not able to manage the distribution side of the management. And under the Government of India policy, the distribution companies have been already now in almost all the states, they have been established. And everybody, is a commercial. So once you are a commercial oriented, the technology has to come into play. I fully agree that the technological innovations in the smart grid must come up.
Razan sir, I come back to you on this. Still 80% of our DISCOMs are making losses. Reports clearly tell us that they are in bad shape. There is no change even after the reforms are adapted. It almost seems that the APDRP 1 is gone down the drain.
No, not really, because I think the process has just begun. APDRP, you see, consists of 2 components. One is the compulsory component, which is that you plot all the consumers, you meter everybody. First of all, you freeze the frames, everything, input, output, everything should be metered so that you have complete energy audit. And the Government of India is to pay 100% cost of that. The other part is At part B, you can take your loans for it. You can convert some of this into grant, provided you meet those standards of coming down to your desired level, that is 15% from wherever you are at the moment. Maybe the process has just started off, people took time in taking off, but I think technology has to come in, particularly to check where man has failed. Machine must come in, technology must come in to eliminate power thefts. We've got to replace the human element, replace it with technology or a machine, whatever you might call it, that if anybody tampers with the system, it says do not touch. You cannot molest an electricity supply line somewhere, and the moment there's a case of molestation, there must be an immediate reaction and an arrest or something like that. At least his power supply must be cut off. Well, that technology can do today. And I think that we've got to be a little more stern and ask the states that, look here, you've got the money, now let's get going with the business. Even some of the new suggestions that are coming in of rescuing the distribution companies in distress, one of the suggestions is, I think, that you must implement our APDRP in spirit and do it fast. You must increase your tariffs. So all this, the health of the distribution sector is extremely important. But Professor, I must get back to the National Mission of Enhanced Energy Efficiency. I think, you see, this is a mission that has not really been properly understood. It has two components. One is the perform, achieve and trade part of it, where almost 462 I think industries in 8 sectors have been studied, and norms have been laid out for them, and if they attain their level of efficiency, they can trade their whatever their overachievements. The other part is the demand side management. While on the first scheme, the expected investment in 4 years is about 75,000 crores. In the second part, that is demand side management, municipal and individual, it is about 22,000, I think, crores. A little more than that. So these schemes will only be successful if you get onto a strict regimen on many areas that you got to conform to efficiency norms. And I would entirely agree with Dr. here that we must bring distribution companies also as designated consumers, not only the transformers. The whole distribution company should be declared as a designated consumer, and it must distribute electricity efficiently and according to norms. In fact, that is a suggestion that I made to the Director General Bureau of Energy Efficiency, that even if you have to amend the act, please do so.
May I go back to Hetal Mehta? May I request him to throw the light? गुजरात में ये जो लॉसेस हैं ये 15% के करीब आ गई है, नीचे नहीं आएंगे लेकिन उसके आसपास है, तो ये एक स्टेट कर पाया है, and I think maybe a couple of other states will follow suit after Gujarat has done it. What was it that Gujarat took over a lot of technology adoption? Like there are examples like GetCo who have adopted a lot of technology, and I think smart grid pilots are already trying to be modeled in Gujarat, right?
Yes, see, first of all, what we say, technology has to move with time. That is the base, what we understand. Second, you must have will to win. And third, you have to develop the culture. And all together, working, we are able to achieve it. This is the base, because only technology cannot work unless you develop the culture.
We will come back to you and we will discuss whether privatization in the distribution sector has really succeeded in the country. Back right after this break. Welcome back to this segment, Mr. Nagila. How do you see a company driven by technology? It is wanting to offer something, but what are the challenges for a company which has an offering to make an idea like a smart grid pilot, offer this to, let us say, a utility?
We have a different set of problems. This is a common word. Whenever you go to any discount, you will find that we also have it and we don't require it, we know about it. You need partners in that. Now when it comes to the question of executing it, there is no special force or a skill set where you can absorb such technologies or such skill set to bring it either a smart grid, leave alone smart grid, even reduction of losses and bringing some streamlining of the system. You need a different mindset of people because they are bogged down everyday problems where they are neck deep. You cannot ask them to take extra burden of understanding something and then implement it at a particular cost. Nobody wants to take a risk there. There is nothing more one can think about in the system.
We are going to discuss whether India's power sector benefited at large from the privatization aspect. First, Razdan sir, we did all this privatization of distribution with a lot of fanfare, and we said, oh, but it's magic wand, and come on, all these distribution laws in a few years will go. And what we found is it probably remained the same.
We did corporatization of the distribution sector. We did not do privatization. Privatization was very sparse. It was done in Orissa with not much success. It was done in Delhi, I think, with a reasonable degree of success, where the government subsidies have been done away with and the quality of power supply has improved. In other places, you see, at times we become captives of our own ideological barriers that we build around us unnecessarily. We have agreed to have a franchisee system in many places, but we will not privatize.
I'm talking of the distribution franchising.
Yes, precisely. That's not true privatization, but there was, you see, for example, revenue franchisee, there could be an input franchisee, and I think there's no point in having a revenue model because you just don't want somebody to go and collect your money for you. You need that system to be improved. Quite surprisingly, the restructured APDRP has not been extended to private distribution companies.
It's an interesting point.
Yes, and we said that maybe we'll review it after 2 years. There were some objections raised that why should the private sector get benefit out of it? No, it is not the private sector. It is the consumer. All this is for the consumer. The consumer continues to be a private person.
Exactly.
So I think we must extend this restructured APDRP to the entire distribution community, first of all. And I think ideology, if some of them feel that they can only do with a franchisee and not with absolute privatization, by all means. There is also one danger you see in some privatizations, that if you hand over everything to the private mode in our kind of an economy, and if that company fails, who comes and sits in its place as a replacement? So wherever possible, I think we should keep a little mix to begin with of public sector and private sector companies, so that there is some stability in the system. If the whole system becomes established and a way of life, so to say, that is what we wanted in the restructured APDRP, that you watch their performance continuously over 5 years and assess them each year, so that that loss reduction becomes a way of life and not a once in a flash pan incident. So once 5, 10, 15 years these companies have coexisted, cultures will exist, we will know that what are the robust models that have been developed, then I think we can maybe privatize everything. But if public sector and private sector can coexist as they do in the city of Mumbai, why not?
Right. I will further add to that. We have the public sector, the private sector, and also the cooperative sector in this country. So we are a little bit different in terms of the model. Now I will like to give our speakers the last 10 seconds, each one, what are the 2 or 3 things that they want for distribution efficiency or reforms in this country, starting with, literally a worldwide view, an overview from Dr. Khanna, please.
As Mr. Raza has pointed out, there has to be some balance and some regulation there, because otherwise private companies, they misuse that also, you see. So we have to look into that. But that is something which has to come into the policy and which has to be reviewed fast, because the appreciation of time value of money is not there yet, you see, I think.
Very good. Nagila sir?
Distribution franchisee is the only answer for implementation of technology without any barrier, and secondly because there's a carrot and stick type of environment. And second thing is that should also take care that the consumer should be grid smart.
Sharmaji?
The distribution side as well as the smart grid they have to go hand in hand, and the technology innovations which have come into the world must be brought back into this distribution management, and we must see that ultimately the consumer also gets benefited. It is not only the distribution company which gets benefited.
We are waiting for the day when the consumer will decide from which we should buy the power.
Whom to buy the choice with the consumer.
Choice will with the consumer. Ultimately, we are waiting for the day when the consumer will have the choice.
What has come out of this excellent discussion and is that we have to pay a price for electricity. We need to adopt technology. Definitely technology is an important element of change, and one thing is there, instead of creating more capacity, if we can put about 1 crore or 10 million per megawatt to change the dimension and retrieve back 20% or 30% of electricity, it's far more economical and far more advisable. And with that, with all these new solutions and a little bit of risk taking, political will and a common grit, and definitely the consumer making him the king and maybe God at times, right? We will go and definitely succeed. Thank you all viewers. We'll be back on this show with you with another power-packed set of episodes. Goodbye and good luck. Thank you.
Inertia and REPA jointly present Prof.Iyer's talk show, Future of Energy, India Vision 2022, India's first talk show on energy and power. Co-partners MTU On-Site Energy and VSG, Associate Partner BHEL. Supported by Jindal Power Limited and Patel Engineering Limited. Segment Partner Green Brilliance Energy, a Falcon Media Production.